Everyone, Maury Curtis Dunbar here at Painted Studio. Now hopefully we have sound today. We had a lot of sound issues yesterday. It came from the reset, so I'm hoping today we're going to see what happens. I got to get myself on screen, see what's going on. Okay, I'm live. And let's see if... Okay, the captions say captions are auto-generated. So obviously I'm getting some sound here. That's very exciting for me. Yay! All right, so let's hope we have a better sound day than we did yesterday. Let me set my phone out of the way so that I don't knock it accidentally. I'm going to have a sip of coffee, give everybody a minute to come in, because nobody happens to be on here right now. Just give you all a second or two. Okay, now the hope is that all the sound is fine. Let me turn myself up. If I babble a second, maybe I can hear myself. Sound is fine. Yep. Okay, we got good sound, so I can hear myself. I know that's working. All right, so today, the things that we are going to work on is I'm going to show you how our cups came out. We're going to unmold this random stuff that I made, and then we're going to seal... I'm going to kill a bug. And we're going to seal our corbels using Whitson's Universal Lacquer, which you've heard me speak of before. So we're going to save that part for last because this stuff is going to probably be a little messy simply because we've got epoxy on stuff. And I am just checking to make sure I got everything turned on the right way. It looks like it. Yay. Okay. So these were coasters I did as testers the other day, just to see what happened if I sprayed the paint and sprayed the alcohol ink on it, and it worked out pretty well. Let's hope I can get these out because I kind of over poured them and they're kind of sealed at the edges, and if they don't come out, I'm going to have to do this off screen. Oh, no, they're coming out. So this part is not great looking. But I think if we flip them over, they're going to be very pretty. All right. We've had a lot of signal going out lately. I had a video conference today. The signal went out several times, so be patient if that happens. I don't know if it's us or if it's just the Wi-Fi in general, or if it's me specifically, or what it is. So that one came out all right. I also dropped a couple drops of yellow alcohol ink in here just to see what would happen, but I think what I'm going to do is do a little zoom in so you can see things close up. Okay, give me a second. All right, that should be better, so at least you can see what I'm talking about. Put things back there. So this one, it's very slick because there's silicone spray on it. This is where I sprayed the paint. One of the Krylon Rust-Oleum metal paints. I think this one was the mirror gold and this was the copper. I sprayed some ink in it. Some paint on it and hit it with alcohol. Now my table wasn't level, and there's part of the problem. But it's cool when it sits on the top because it breaks it all up. And then from this side, it does look very pretty. Although it would look a little better without the yellow in it because well, quite frankly, with the yellow in it, it looks like a dog peed on it. So I'm being honest about that one. So we're going to pop this one open. This is where I use the Black 2X Rust-Oleum primer coverage, high coverage spray paint. And this side I use the Rust-Oleum, just their standard gold spray paint. Again, because my table wasn't it broke it up beautifully, but because my table wasn't level, it kind of floated into the center on each other. But again, a cool effect. So I'm not unhappy with them. These were just experiments. I honestly had no expectations of what these were going to be. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Again, I put yellow ink in there so it looks a little like dog pee on it. Don't ask me why I chose yellow. It was just what was right there. And as you can see, I have spray paint on the outside of my molds. Fortunately, with silicone, this should scrub right off. The next thing we're going to do is pull the cups. Let me get the sponge out of this one. I crammed it in so tight, now I got to get it out. Okay, that came out. So this is the one where I put the Wild Thing foil on there. I used the copper spray paint, hit it with some 99% alcohol, and because the way that copper paint grabbed up, it went really solid, really fast, and it broke up, but it still created a very cool pattern that I actually really, really like. So I think this, believe it or not, I think this is actually quite successful. It's just really interesting the way it did that. Little piece of crud stuck in the inside. I clean these out before I ever sell them or use them, because now I've had all kinds of chemicals on them. And here is the copper, the gold mirror spray. Now this was really interesting. You can see it wanted to band right around here, and it didn't stay as broken up as I thought it would, but it does have this marbly effect in here, and unfortunately I don't think I can get it close enough to you. I'm going to look and see if doing this gets it closer. It's very, very subtle in there, and if I hit the light you can see the highs and lows, and it actually is a really cool effect. I think this would have worked better on a much darker background, but I was trying it because I was hoping to get big webs that would go all over the animal print, and that's not what happened. But I do like this effect, and I definitely think it's worth doing again. So I'm really actually pretty happy with this one. All right, so the next, clunking on everything. Okay, so this was the extra epoxy that I had after even filling the skull up. I mixed a little Tamisay flakes in here. It's got green variegated leaf in here. So I'm going to pop this out, and it came out very nicely. And I don't know if you can see this in the mold, but there's this sort of frosty area right in here that creates a little bit of an impression right in here. And maybe with my hand behind it, you can see it a little better on screen. I think you can catch it if I catch the light. So if I catch the light, you can see the pattern, and it's three-dimensional, and it's delicate and frosty and very, very pretty. I have another pattern. I think it's a squirrel. I'm not sure that does that. Again, tons of random molds for things. Now this is the skull. This was the last pour on here, and I hope this comes out and I haven't ruined this mold because I poured so many times in here and came in and cleaned. I hope I didn't accidentally kill my skull mold. And this might be something I have to try to work on off screen, or it may just be sealed right here on the edge. Let me see if I can get in here and use a little tool to pull this back if it's gonna. Like, I know the bottom of it's good, and I've ruined one other of these molds doing this the same way. I got too close to the top, I put too many layers in, and I kind of removed some of the silicone spray and made a mess of this. Now, let's hope. See, I know it's loose down in here. You can see it's pulling away easily. But what I'm afraid I did is I might have screwed it up right at the lip here. I don't want to use a sharp thing. And if I can't get this easily right now, I'm going to set this aside and do it off camera and see if I've totally screwed it up, but I hope I didn't. Okay, I got a little give right here. There we go. So I'm going to go right around this lip with my tool, and hopefully it'll let go everywhere. This is just a little stylus. You've seen me use it for foiling on stencils. Yeah, it doesn't want to always work. Let's see. Okay, got that spot. Sometimes if I come in underneath it and pull it up at the lip, I can get it to work a little better. I can talk it into letting go. And this is what happened. This I should have probably just done a solid pour in this one for the first time, because that would actually be a little easier. The silicone spray would have seasoned the mold, the whole thing. But no, I had to be fancy and do a couple different layers in here, and I'm making my own life harder. So I'm going to have to come in here, do this. And you can see where it's letting go. You can see that white gap is where it's releasing. And then you can also see where it wants to stick. So this may be my challenging one. This one, I have a feeling, is going to take about 6 times longer than I had hoped. So I may have to give this one a rest and work on it some more tomorrow. And show it to you after it comes out of the mold. And usually the molds, you can roll them back like a sock, roll them down. Doesn't want to do that one today, but that's on me, not on anything else. And you want to use a dull tool, not a sharp tool, because the sharp tool will rip through. You don't want to cut the mold, you just want to see if you can pry it loose. Because even though silicone's not supposed to stick to anything, you can see that if you have challenged your mold, it will not want to release well. I might use a little heat to soften up the silicone, the epoxy in here. That might help me out a little bit. There we go. There's going up around the mouth. It's finally letting go in some spots. Now back here, there's a good stuck spot, so I'm going to still have to work it a little bit. See if anybody's got any questions. Hey Beth and Teresa and Colleen, I'm going to probably say this wrong, so forgive me. It looks like it says Trigente. I'm hoping I'm not wrong. And Kathy, thanks for popping in. Let me read your comments. You'd use the pea-colored one. Thank you. Your daughter dyed your dog's tail yellow. Oh, your daughter had a great sense of humor. Bless her heart. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Oh, thank you for saying that. I like to, I'm always one for testing, and you guys see when my tests are successful, and you have seen plenty of my disasters too. Now like I said, I made this really hard on myself with this mold. It's really fighting me because it's a brand new mold, and usually on a brand new mold I like to spray the hell out of it with silicone, and then pour one mold in it, and it's already seasoned, so that when I spray it the next time I get a really easy release, but I only pour one color in it. This time I decided to be fancy and do 3. Make a new skull mold. Yes, I've seen lots of molds making kits, and it's not. I've actually made molds myself. It's not terribly difficult. You can see the skull starting to come out. I just got to get this side loose. This is the side that wants to be difficult. I was watching the movie Venom the other night, and I hear Venom's voice in my head going, "Let's just eat it. Just rip it. Just eat it up and rip it." If you haven't seen the movie Venom, that made no sense whatsoever, but if you've seen it, you get the the humor of it. All right, come on. Here we go. I just got to get under the stuck part. Oop, stuck me. Okay, come on. You're going to come right there. I can see you. There we go, pulling away. Whew. Might have a little rough edge on this. Now, I have about 4 other skull molds, but they're bigger and heavier and kind of heavily carved. This was my one of my only plain molds that didn't have all this other stuff in it, and so I liked it because I like them because it gives a cleaner skull. But it's not helping me that every time I do this, I make my own life harder with the new skull mold. And they're not expensive. I mean, I get these skull molds off of Amazon. So, you know, I'm not spending big bucks on them. I just hate having to rebuy the same mold because I've done something dumb. Come on, we're gonna get you. I know we are. Come on, you're gonna get there. I'm just going to keep muscling it a little bit. And mind you, I have rheumatoid arthritis, so this is not exactly the most comfortable thing for me to do. This is actually a little painful for me. So let's see if I can get this to maneuver off one side and then maybe I can peel it the other way. We're going to find out. This may or may not work. This may be a great idea. It may be a disaster. All right, there we go. Okay, so you can see right here, this is the part that's stuck. So first of all, look how cool that skull's coming out. I'm going to keep pulling, but you can see right here where it's stuck, and I may just have to play with this with my fingers for a while and slowly but surely get this off. And I may not, oh, there goes that part. Got that one. And let's see if I can get this down here. This is the detailed part here, and it doesn't want to let go, but I'm going to share this with you now. Look how cool that part came out. So what I did is the first day when we were doing the coasters the other day with the silicone in it, I had all that extra stuff, so I just poured that in here. Then yesterday when I did, I was doing the cups, I think. I had extra epoxy. Actually, what this is, when I was pouring my test coasters here with the other paints on it, I had extra epoxy left over from that. I thought I made enough to fill it all the way up. I didn't, so I had this layer, and I dropped alcohol ink and white ink sinker in here. And then this yesterday is the same stuff I used to fill up that little owl. It was the leftover from doing the cups. I poured some Tamisay flakes in there. And so we have a triple layer skull. Really, really pretty once I get the rest of this mold off, but I'm tired of fighting the mold right now. My hands hurt from it. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is work on the corbels, but before I even touch those, because I have silicone all over my hands now, it doesn't look it, but I can feel it on my hands. I'm going to spray a little isopropyl alcohol on my hands. Clean them off so that when I touch the corbels, I don't have any residue on my hands, because I cleaned these yesterday for our top coating, and I don't want to deposit more oil back on them. So I'm going to lift this with the paper towel and bring it over here. So if you remember these, we did aluminum leaf here, we did a variegated leaf in here. Now, to use our Whitson's universal lacquer for a leaf, the next thing you need to do is you need to clean the surface of the metal. Why do you need to do that? Well, you get hand oils on here, but also when leaf is manufactured, it's made with oils. There's tooling, something called tooling oils, that help manipulate the metal for the use of hammering it out and that sort of thing, and it's run through a sheeter and all that kind of thing. So that's got to be degreased so that you can use it. And then what you want to do after that is you come in and clean it. Now, Whitson's leaf lacquer it wants a pH neutral cleaner, which sounds very fancy, but what it really wants is Blue Dawn dish liquid. Not Ajax, not Palmolive, not anything with extra grease busters, not anything with hand softeners. pH neutral, as close to 0 as you can get, and that's Dawn Blue dishwashing liquid. Now, Whitson's makes a pH neutral cleaner, but when we can get Dawn, I would use that. So that's what I cleaned this with yesterday, and what that does is it prevents our leaf layer from our leaf lacquer from sissing up. And what sissing up is it's resistant. If you think about if you have suntan oil on your skin and then you spill water on it, how it beads up, that will happen on here if you haven't cleaned it. So we cleaned it off to keep that from happening. Okay, I gotta whack the jar open. Such a good sealant, I sealed the jar closed. There we go. Now, don't dip out of the container. You don't want to contaminate this, because then if there's any contaminants on your surface and then you dip your brush into it and go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and pour it back into the container, you can then leave contaminants in your lacquer that will end up causing problems for your next possible job. Beth says, "Let me eat him." Colleen got it. Thank you. Hey, Cindy. Nice to see you. Oh, you guys are so funny. I'm trying to read. Unfortunately, I'm on a white background with white print, so it isn't always easy for me to read what people say. Yes. Beth says she makes mistakes. Picture a flower. I can't read your whole thing, Beth, because if I click more, see more on here, it does funny things and it zeroes out the camera, so I'm going to have to read that later and get a better comment on it and get a chuckle out of what you're saying. I appreciate that. Hey, Joyce and Carrie Jean, thank you for popping in. So, couple things. You want to definitely use a soft brush for this, and you want to use a very clean brush for this, and you don't want a wet brush. If your brush is wet at all, or if you need to wet it, use distilled water, because again, there's no metals in distilled water that are going to cause contamination issues. Now, the cool thing about this is a water-based product. Clean up easy, soap and water. The cool thing about this is that you can apply it to variegated metals like we're going to do here, and it does almost no color change. Now, I tested it on this. What we may see is some of this pink disappear and gets a little more orange, but I was very impressed with the testing of this, that it did not do that too much. And as you can see, I'm brushing it on. Now, the orangey colors are the ones that are going to get altered the most. It's the copper, and it's the chemicals that they use to treat the copper that's in composition leaf that reacts and gives you these beautiful pinks and stuff. But it's also the thing that is the most chemically sensitive to any top coat. Now, I've tried these leaves like this with regular water-based top coats, oil-based top coats, shellac-based top coats, solvent-based acrylic top coats, all of them. Change this stuff tremendously. This is the first top coat I've had that I've used on these very pinky pinky leaves, and all it's done is kind of made it a little more orange, but not beat it up. I've had stuff erase the colors. And I have a little piece of cotton fuzz right in there from doing the cleaning. Let's get that out of there. This is beautiful stuff to work with. It dries. It's a nice semi-gloss finish, which if you remember, this was already a little bit matted because of the texture of the wood underneath it, but look how beautifully that's applying. It's not taking all my pink away, which is something that I have been very frustrated with. There is next to no odor, which if you're working on big projects and you're odor sensitive or your client's odor sensitive, nobody wants a lacquered a gold leaf ceiling and then they have to put up with the smell of that acrylic born solvent lacquers. Oh my God, it smells so bad. So this solves many problems and it's so nice over this. So this is one of the things I wanted to show you, and that's particularly why I chose this very, very pink leaf to work with, because if I can show you this and show you how it changes the colors minimally compared to erasing them or turning this bright, bright, bright orange with no pinks left in it at all, you would understand why this lacquer is so fantastic. I am so happy with this, and it brushes on beautifully. It levels out, very smooth to work with, and little tiny bit of a wet dog smell to it, just a little tiny bit, but other than that, like nothing. You just, you know, I'm sticking the brush in my nose to see, so this is pretty cool to know. I love this stuff. I'm so pleased that we're carrying this. I'm so pleased that this works. It proves me right each time I do it. And that's a big thing for me to be able to say, look, I'm putting this on this crazy pink lacquer, crazy pinkish leaf. And the first thing I expect to happen is to have the color disappear, because that's what happens when you normally top coat these really intensely colored variegated leaf, and it's not. I'm getting a little bit more orangey here, but I'm not losing my pink. It's actually just making the copper part of this a little brighter. And you can use this on all tarnishable metals. You can use it on copper leaf, silver leaf, true silver leaf. You can use it on all golds, real and composition. I always say when you're using it on a variegated leaf, especially anything with reds and pinks in it, test it first, because that's the one that's going to always be the challenge. But yeah, wow. And it just goes on beautifully. And of course, we have this in all kinds of sizes. So if you're using big projects for walls and stuff, we can have that. It can go through a sprayer. All right, let me set this up right here. Try not to stick my finger in where I just painted the lacquer on. And turn this way. And I'm going to come in here. Get this part. Now clearly, just because I've just painted there, I can't turn this back on its side again. Come back up here. I'm going to do the top of this. And I'll do the other side off camera, but I want to do as much of this side as possible so I can put this up side by side with the other one that's not top coated, so you can actually see how the lacquer goes over it and how limited the color change is to it. I think that's an important thing to share. Again, this stuff levels. So All I have to do is make sure I don't drip something stupid like I often do. Excuse me for the hoarse voice. Okay, so here it is. This side. Oh, let's not get my fingers in things. That is the side completely with the leaf lacquer on it. This is the one that I have not used any on. And if you look at them, we got a little warmer right in here, but we did not lose our pinks. That's a big deal. Let me see if I've got any questions here. Dana, thank you. So this is part of what I wanted to share. We didn't lose color here. We didn't lose the green in here. So the green that you see here, we didn't lose it in here. We got a little richer colored here, which I actually like, but I did not lose my pinks, which is very important when you have a lacquer like this. I think that's very cool to make sure that you don't lose your coloring, because that's something you don't want to have happen. And a little dribble. And this is something I've tested it on repeatedly to make sure. Now I have some that it will take out more of the pinks and the reds. It really depends on the kind of colored leaf that you're using. So this had been clearly very aggressively treated so that the pinks were very vibrant, so that when I went over this, I didn't erase them. If you have something that's very delicate with it's almost like a bloom of color, and I do have a couple, they're called sunburst leaves, that kind of zeroed out that really delicate, some of the really delicate pinks. And again, like I said, the copper is the most reactive. So that's where you're going to see the biggest change. This is the colors that you'd see the biggest changes in. The blues and greens don't react at all for the most part. But when we got these pink colors, pink and reds, the coppers will react, and that's where you're going to see it. And the fact that I can show this to you and say, hey, wow, look, I've still got all my colors here. It just got a little deeper, which I actually am very excited about. I think that looks very pretty on this. I feel like we're in a good place with this leaf lacquer. Again, I have never been anything less than incredibly impressed with it. The other thing I'm going to tell you, wash your brush as soon as you're done. Don't let this sit. Don't let it sit in water. Get up, wash your brush, because once this stuff dries, it dries hard. Hard, hard, hard. So I'm going to come back here. We're going to open up. I'm going to take my day with you. Let me see. We've been on for a bit. So I'm going to say that's the end of today. We have unmolded a whole bunch of stuff. I'll fight my skull again another day. Tomorrow I'll finish the rest of this. We'll get it out. Work on it a little. I may put it under hot water and get it to release a little. That might help a little more. I'll keep working on it. I'm trying not to kill this mold like I killed the last one. All right, everybody. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for spending some of your Wednesday with me. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye-bye. Okay, forgot how to sign off.